Hi, it's Mark from Top Local. We're here with Bernie Pawlik, Pawlik Automotive in Vancouver, Vancouver's best auto service experience, 22-time winners of Best Auto Repair in Vancouver, and celebrating 30 years of serving the clients of all makes and models of cars, all kinds of repairs in Vancouver, British Columbia. And we're talking Range Rovers. How you doing, Bernie?
Doing very well.
So what was happening with this Range Rover SUV?
This vehicle had just been to the dealer for service, and they noted the front and rear brakes were worn out and need to be replaced, and so he brought it to us to have the brake work done.
So it's a 2017, which is 3 years old. That seems a little bit early, isn't it? How many kilometers did it have?
The vehicle only had 23,000 kilometers on it.
Why would it need brakes at such a relatively young age?
You know, most of these large European SUVs need brakes done at a very low mileage. We've had, like I think at Audi Q7s for one. Their brakes don't last much more than 30,000 kilometers. Range Rovers typically are about good for about 30 Ks max. And I'll be honest with you, I sometimes puzzle over it myself because the brakes in these vehicles are absolutely massive. They're huge. They're made out of good materials. And yet they don't last. And, a lot of it, I think, is just, it's a performance vehicle. There's a lot of weight, and, that's likely the cause.
So what sort of materials are the brake pads made of that they don't, and the rotors, I guess, too, that they don't last?
Well, a lot of them are actually made out of really good solid materials like semi-metallic or ceramic or semi-metallic, which are good, generally durable materials. The rotors wear equally with the pads. So when you get these and you replace the pads, the rotors have big, deep grooves in them where they've worn the material away. So the pad material is clearly a very hard material. The only thing I can conclude is just it's a high performance vehicle with a lot of weight, with the wheels and of the actual vehicle itself. So that would be, I think, what would cause it. Let's have a look at some pictures here. So there's our, beautiful Range Rover, supercharged. I mean, it's just an absolutely gorgeous car. Of course, one of the things that I mentioned, the wheels. I mean, if you look at the wheels in this vehicle, and I should really look at the tires, so these are got to be, at least a 20-inch or larger wheel. So there's a lot of weight to this tire and wheel, and, that'll cause, brakes to wear at a much quicker rate. Let's have a look at some pads and things here. So let's look at the front. So there's our front brakes before, about 3 millimeters left in these pads, so not a whole lot. You can kind of see an edge here. This is the edge where the old edge of the rotor, and it's difficult to see in this picture, but there's a lot of material worn away in this part of the rotor that requires it to be replaced. It's not machinable because there's just not a lot left. We look over here, these are the new brake pad. You can see much greater level of material. These aren't the thickest pads in the world. I mean, compared to like VWs often use very thick pads to start with. These are probably about 12 mils, I think. So it's a pretty good amount of material to wear. And you can see the new clean, absolutely flat rotor surface. So those are the front brakes, kind of a close-up view. Let's get into the rear here. Those are the old pads. You can see there's very little left on these pads. There's less than 2 millimeters on these particular pads. And then we'll look at the replacement rears, which you can clearly see there's a lot more meat on that. So there's kind of a view of the brakes. It's a common job for, as mentioned, 23,000 kilometers. I mean, I hate to say it, but this is kind of normal for these vehicles. Although we have had some vehicles in the past where, with the aftermarket parts we use, the pads and rotors will last much longer than the original. So it may be that they also use a slightly softer material from the factory just to prevent any squeaks and squeals.
So is there anything that a Range Rover owner can do to improve brake life other than not driving the vehicle?
Yeah, that is one thing, and that kind of defeats the whole purpose of having such a nice car. But, I guess it's like, and this is the key for any car. I mean, use your brakes as little as possible. Don't come flying up to a stop and jam the brakes on. If you're going down hills, pump the brakes. That helps the brakes last longer. Those are some just sort of normal things you do in any car. And that's really kind of the key to one of these too. I mean, it's hard not to go fast in this vehicle and really move it. It's a supercharged V8. It's got a hell of a lot of power. And, and that's just kind of part of the ride. But it really, I think it's just all in the engineering and design of these vehicles. The brakes just tend to wear heavily. And, say if you're just a little gentler on the brakes and avoid slamming them on, that'll probably give you a little more life.
So there you go. If you need service for your Range Rover, brake system, or anything, they repair it all at Pawlik Automotive in Vancouver, British Columbia. You can reach them at 604-327-7112 to book your appointment. You have to call and book ahead. They're going to speak to you. Check out the website, pawlikautomotive.com. Hundreds, literally over 600 videos and articles on there on all makes and models of cars and repairs. The YouTube channel, we're approaching 400 videos on there of repairs of all makes and models of cars. Pawlik Auto Repair. Thanks so much for listening and watching the podcast. We really appreciate it. Leave us a 5-star review wherever you watch and get your podcast from. Thanks, Bernie.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate it.